Here's our door that we've been sanding on, and here's that one spot I wanted to show you. So right here you can see some of the black guide coat that's left behind, and that's the body filler that was sanded. Now we need to sand that down until that's all gone. So we know that there's just a tiny little ridge right there in the bodywork. And then up and through here, if you can see that, see those sand scratches where they're black? All those need to be sanded out so that you don't see those anymore. And you can see up through here where those sand scratches from doing the bodywork are. So we're going to keep sanding that until those all come out so it's nice and clear like this here. This has a couple coats of body filler on it, so the body filler tends to be a couple different colors, but you can look and see the idea of getting these sand scratches, because that's what's going to show up in your final paint if you don't get those out. So that's what a guide coat, the purpose of the guide coat is to get all these little sand scratches and air bubbles and nicks, imperfections, get them sanded down to where it's perfectly smooth. All right, we're working on our door. We've got that sanded down, got all the guide coat sanded off, and everything looks pretty good. But there's a little trick we're going to do to make sure this body line is perfectly straight. Because when you get the paint on here and the paint is shiny and you look down that, you want it to be perfectly straight. You don't want any ripples, you don't want any curves. You want it to go straight. So I'm going to show you a little trick that a lot of old timers use, maybe even some regular body guys use when they're doing this. But we basically had to build a new body line because that was all dented in there. So here's the trick. Basically, I have a rag with a little bit of wax and grease remover on this rag. What I'll do is just clean this right down here. Clean that dust off there. Just let that dry for a minute or so. And then what we have here is just, you have to have good tape. Don't get cheap tape. This is regular Scotch brand, and 1 inch. 1 inch you can curve when you go around body lines a little bit. A 1/2 inch is probably better to do some curves. But we got a little curve right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to tape right down the edge of this body line, all the way down here. So we're going to start up here. I got to find my body line. And you want to get that tape nice and tight. So then you just go right down your body line. Takes a little bit of practice to do this. And you got to bend your tape as you go around that corner. Just let your tape bend. Now here's the important part. Come around this corner. You got to get right on that body line. And I've got my light shining on there so I can get the shadow of the body line. Once you determine this body line here, this one's curved, so you're going to have to just go around that and get it perfect. Then what you want to do is find your body line right here. And so we're going to find that with the edge of our tape right there. There's our body line. And so what we've done is we've made a straight line here, and we'll carefully, there we go. So you want this edge to be perfectly seated down. No wrinkles in it or anything. This edge is fine because that's the inside edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our sanding block. This is the one I want to use. We're going to take this block here, and we've been using 180. So we're going to get, where'd my 180 go? There's some 180. So basically, we're going to take this 180 and we're going to wrap it around here. And the reason we use this is because this is beveled up in here. And so when we sand, we're just going to lightly sand this edge, and it won't go any farther than the tape. So that'll give you a perfectly straight body line up through here. And as it curves around, it'll just follow the edge of that tape. You don't sand very hard, just very lightly. So what you do is just sand it up in here. Come up on the edge of the tape a little bit, but don't rip the tape. Just easy strokes. You can look at it. I can see over here where this edge is. I got to sand just a little bit right here. So I'm going to tighten my paper up again a little bit more. And that looks pretty good down through there. So we're going to take our paper off the block. We're just going to do a little bit by hand right in through here. Just to get our edge. That's nice and flat, nice and smooth. So we're going to peel our tape off. And that'll leave a nice sharp edge on our body line. So that edge, you basically want to get a factory edge somewhere, and then you go from that edge over to here, and that's perfectly straight. And then this tapers up around. So what I do, now these edges are not really sharp. They're just, I call them, what I do is I call it flattening the edge. So the body line up here, these edges are a little bit sharper. So what you do is you take your sandpaper very lightly, just over that edge. Just barely sand that. Right on the edge. That's just softening the edge so you get really the body, the factory look back to that edge. So this edge here, there's the factory edge right there. And it's not really sharp. There is an edge there, and you'll see the edge all the way down. So where we just had that tape, that edge came out real sharp, real crisp. So you can soften that edge all the way down to make it look exactly like this edge here. The same with this edge. We really didn't have to do any here because we had a real good line through there. So we just softened this edge a little bit more. And just be careful, you don't want to take out too much body filler. And our panel here is pretty much done and just needs to be cleaned up. We'll tape everything up, and then we'll prime it. You know, we'll finish our back door up here. But I just wanted to show you how we guide coat sand it down, find all the imperfections, and get those taken care of. So that's looking pretty good right now, and we'll get this taped off and get it ready to get primed.